Well, it is Halloween, and this is the #1 costume for American kids this year. But these ain't all kids, and this didn't happen on October 31st in the United States. Oh no, it took place earlier this week in the capital of the South American nation of Argentina, and its purpose was to try to set a record. This could be the biggest gathering of people dressed as Spider-Man in one place, like ever in the world. The official Guinness record for this, yes, there is an official Guinness record for this, was set on June 3rd in Malaysia. It involved 685 Spider-Persons. But the event you see here in Buenos Aires included more than 1,000 participants, according to organizers, so they're waiting to see if they've caught a new record in their web. Welcome to the world from A to Z. I'm Carl Azus. Means the world to us to have you watching, and we hope you're doing well on this last day of October. The Mexican government is paying for the flights of tourists trapped in Acapulco to get them to Mexico City. A major hurricane struck Acapulco last week. If you're wondering why tourists and residents were in the resort city while the storm approached, it's because Hurricane Otis was initially forecast to make landfall as a Category 1 system, a relatively mild one. Instead, it defied predictions and computer models and rapidly strengthened to Category 5 status before crashing into Acapulco with wind speeds of 165 miles per hour. Officials say at least 48 people were killed and dozens of others are still missing.
Things are slowly improving in Acapulco. As you can see, the traffic is moving along in some sections of the city. There is better cell phone reception. There is some fuel in some gas station. And the government says that they're bringing more aid. However, the residents we've spoken to keep complaining that the aid is not getting to the people that need it most. This woman says she walked over 2 miles, 5 kilometers from a neighborhood up on that mountain. She's not only looking for food or drinks, but also medical assistance for her children. She's also upset that the National Guard is protecting commercial buildings. During the first days after Otis passed over Acapulco, there was widespread looting. But now, some say the target are residences. This woman asked for the armed forces to go out into the residential areas because she says the looters now are targeting homes, looking for fuel and other items. On social media, the federal government claims it is already delivering food and water, but that information is not getting through to everyone. The strength of the hurricane is clear all over the city, not only on the damaged buildings, but also on its iconic beaches, where the erosion has already changed this beautiful place.
Our World of Viewers segment takes us to the Peace Garden State today. It's also known as North Dakota, and it's where Mrs. Kelly's class is watching at Mandan Middle School. Hello to Mandan. Next to the Golden State of California. Love seeing everyone out there at Brandeis Marin. It's in San Rafael, the home of Mr. Friedman's students.
On this date in world history.
One of the world's most famous works of art was completed on October 31st, and to see it, you gotta look up. Michelangelo finished the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel on this date in 1512. He'd painted it alone. It had taken him 4 years to complete, and the masterpiece has amazed visitors for centuries. Not long after that, a German priest named Martin Luther took bold action in Wittenberg, Germany. It's reportedly on this date in 1517 that he nailed his 95 Theses to the door of a church there. The document criticized some practices of the Catholic Church and eventually helped fuel the Protestant Reformation. And on this date in 1984, India's first and only female prime minister to date was assassinated. Indira Gandhi had led India on and off and on again since the 1960s. But after a violent confrontation between her government and the nation's Sikhs, the religious group took revenge.
A word of knowledge. Which of these mountains is partially located in the nation of Pakistan? Mount Everest, K2, Lhotse, Mount Ararat. Rising more than 28,000 feet over Pakistan and China, K2 is the second tallest mountain in the world.
In mountain climbing, you might be familiar with the term Sherpa. It's often used in connection with Everest because that mountain borders Tibet, and Sherpa specifically refers to people of Tibetan descent. But those who live in Pakistan and guide mountaineers up and down K2 are simply referred to as porters. They may not get the recognition, the pay, or the benefits as their colleagues on Everest, but their job is every bit as dangerous and their skills every bit as developed.
Pakistan's Shimshal Valley, home to some of the best mountaineers that the world has never heard of. Just 140 families live here in the country's extreme north. Many have produced high-altitude porters who help international expeditions scale the region's giant mountains. But there's little glory for the local climbers on their return.
My father is the first mountaineer of Shimshal. I was inspired by him and became a mountaineer. But when I see that there is no recognition or reward, I tell my kids not to become a mountaineer.
Faisal Ali has climbed K2 a record-breaking 3 times without oxygen. Second in height only to Mount Everest, dozens have died trying to summit it. Despite their expertise, the Pakistani porters get less money, life insurance and help in emergencies than their foreign counterparts. Something Ali was all too aware of ahead of his third ascent of the so-called Savage Mountain.
When we come back, we're so disheartened that we say we should quit, but then we have financial difficulties and we have to go again.
With 5 peaks soaring above 8,000 meters, Pakistan's porters are often called upon in the summer climbing season. Mountaineering is in the blood here in Shimshal, where local porters remain the unsung masters of Pakistan's mega peaks.
Important hard news question. What is the right way to eat candy corn? A survey by the National Confectioners Association, a candy trade group, once found that most people who eat candy corn just pop in the whole piece. A third start by nibbling on the narrow white pointy part, and only 16% go for the wide yellow end first, which makes me totally weird, or in an elite class, because I can't think of a better way than to bite off the yellow end.
This year, Americans were expected to spend more money on Halloween than ever before. That's according to an annual survey by the National Retail Federation, a U.S. trade association. How much money are we talking? $12.2 billion, or about $108 for every person who celebrates or decorates for Halloween. And that's supposed to set a record itself. The survey found that 73% of Americans were planning to participate in the holiday. It's the first time that number's ever been so high. So what is all this money being spent on? Well, the biggest increase was on costumes. Never before have as many as 69% of those celebrating planned to suit up. Spider-Man, princess, and ghost costumes were the 3 most popular options for kids. Witch, vampire, and Barbie costumes were the 3 most popular for adults. And as far as pets go, the NRF said many of them would be dressed up as pumpkins, hot dogs, or bats. But as people are planning to spend more on all this stuff, a separate survey by the technology company Power Reviews indicated that inflation, a rise in prices of the things we buy, could also have an impact. In that survey, almost 1 in 4 people were planning to save money by reusing old costumes, and more than a third were planning to buy cheaper candy and have fewer decorations. So if your trick-or-treat bag has less chocolate this year, you may just have an idea why. Wishing you a safe and sweet Halloween, I'm Lindsay Wolfgang Mast for The World from A to Z.
One more number, $700 million. That's what Americans plan to spend on those pet costumes, according to the NRF. And while the outfits at this event were a little more elaborate or troubling than bats or pumpkins, it had still clearly gone to the dogs. The Dogoween costume contest was held recently in the South American nation of Peru. It reportedly had some fierce competition and more treats than tricks. Winners walked home with dog food and other prizes. They look as sweet as candy. Of course, the little goobers might be skittish about getting dressed up, but there are 100 grand reasons to Rolo Yorkies into costume, because even the runts of the litter look pretty smarty strutting down 5th Avenue under the Milky Way, getting mounds of Snickers and Snuggles like sugar puppies should, and snow capping a party till the Kit Kats come home. I'm Carl Azus, star bursting with candy corny puns on The World from A to Z. We hope your Halloween is totally sweet.